Hello everyone, this is Alex, and today is Thanksgiving. I have so much to be thankful for, and I hope you do too. So, let's start out. We're on round 8 of Junior the Jellyfish, and it's a simple one. It's just single stitches all the way around. So, that's really easy to do. I've increased, several changes have been made for this episode. So as you can see, the camera is used to be way up here outside of my arm's reach, and now it's much closer. So that's really nice. Because a lot of times in the first video, I pulled the Amigurumi out of frame. That's kind of annoying. So I'm hoping that by doing this, here I'm going to move my microphone a little bit down. Okay. That's a little bit better. Just making some adjustments. Okay. I don't want to quite hear my breath, though. So, hopefully this sounds good. It sounds good in my ears. So I'm just going to start on doing some rounds here. Some single crochets. I'd be interested to hear in the comments, what do you have to be thankful for? It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be many small things. Sometimes we take things for granted. At least I know I do. Things that we do every day that just are easy to take for granted. Things like, and this is just for me, but things like I can see, I can crochet. I can walk. And if any of these don't apply to you, or if one or two of these don't apply to you, I'm sure you have things that you can find to be grateful for. With so much negativity in the world, it's nice just to take a reprieve and stop and think for a little bit. Just think, what am I grateful for? What are the positive things? What are some of the positive things in my life? I personally like surrounding myself with positive energy. Things like the news can be very depressing if you surround yourself with it all the time. I'm not saying that's not good to be informed. But it's easy to get caught up and think about that stuff all the time. I'm gonna pull out more yarn here. So I think I'm gonna do this episode in some pieces. So maybe I'll do a round now, maybe another round in a little bit, or maybe even tomorrow. I think the important thing about this channel is I want to have fun with it. I think that my positive vibes will carry over into the videos I make. So if I'm not feeling like crocheting, then I shouldn't force myself to crochet, because it'll come across that I don't want to. So I think the word that I'm looking for here is authentic. Ooh, that sounded really nice on the microphone. Authentic. Ooh, I like that. I also... So, what else have I changed since the first video? Well, I watched the first video, and you could hear my computer whirring in the background. And if you listen really carefully, you can still hear a whir, but it's constant this time. I actually changed the computer that I was using to record with. I upgraded. I was using a laptop, and now I'm using a desktop. And it's much quieter. The laptop really had to chug. I was thinking really hard about my recordings. And the desktop is pretty powerful, so it doesn't have to think much at all. It just sort of records. Looking at these rounds here and thinking that 50 stitches is quite a bit. It's quite a bit. Junior the Jellyfish isn't so junior. So I made the microphone have a different sensitivity this time around. So it's more sensitive towards the front and the back. So you should be able to hear things like that. And now if I put my hands up, should be able to hear that too. Let me make sure that's on the... Okay, it is on the right setting. You can hear every creak in the chair that I make. That's pretty funny. So it's easy to get lost on even which round you're on. So we're on 8 now. But it's easy to forget because I think we're here. We're going to be doing single crochets up until, let me look, round 19. It's a lot of single crochets. Let's see. 8 to 19. I'm just doing that wrong. It's 11. Yeah. times 50. That's a lot of crochets. I was debating. The first video was an hour. It was pretty long. And based on some of the watch times, it might be a little too long. I don't know if anybody wants to sit down for... Well, I listen to hours of ASMR. Have you ever listened to The French Whisperer? He's excellent. He does a lot of great topics, too. He'll talk about, I think his most recent video is prehistoric oceans. It's very fascinating. I hate this. You see, there's a little, I split the yarn there. Just a little bit. And I split it again the opposite way. I think something that I should have said in the first episode is that I'm not a professional crocheter. I am a hobbyist. And there's always room to improve. Much like this, I keep wanting to say the word podcast because I feel like I'm a podcaster with this microphone and the setup. I guess if you think about it, it sort of is a podcast. We're just hanging out, talking about whatever. But podcasts typically have topics. And although the topic of this channel is Amigurumi, obviously it takes much longer to create one than it does to talk about it. So I've actually gotten, well, I'll finish up this round and then I'll say what I'm going to say. I actually got, I said that I was going to finish it and I started talking anyways. Okay, I'm going to set this down for a second. I'm going to reach, you might hear my chair creak. I have a sticky notepad here and a mechanical pencil. And I'm just going to write which round I'm on. As I said, it's easy to get lost sometimes. So I'm going to remove my stitch marker, go into the first stitch again, replace my stitch marker, and start again. So this is round 9. Single crochet in every crochet. Do you guys like to listen to podcasts? I've tried one or two. Nothing's really stuck with me. They're very popular. Lots of my friends listen to podcasts. You can hear the yarn squeaking. Squeak, Sorry, I had an itch on my neck. Let's just do that one again. Make sure it's correct. Now again, it's okay if you make mistakes, miss a stitch. The nice thing about Amigurumi is, well, you can make these cute little buddies, and they can even have their own little quirks, you know, bumps, openings. Like, I see this magic ring here, you can see here, it's quite large, so I think I'm going to try and sew that shut at the end. I think there is so, and as we do the single crochets, you will see that Junior starts taking more shape, because when you do the increases, you're slowly adding material and stitches to the rounds, so you can actually, you get like this cup holder sort of thing. But as you see now, the edges are starting to curl a little bit. That's because we're doing the single stitches, and the single stitches start to pull the amigurumi together. And what really pulls them together is the decreases. Oh, we've got a long way to go before we start doing decreases. I'd say another, at least, well, I guess it goes back to how long is this episode and how long is the next episode, but it's definitely going to take a while to get to the decreases, because we have all those single stitches that need to be done. Many, many rounds of single stitches. We chose a pretty big amigurumi. I'm going to pull out more yarn for our first one, but I really wanted to do the jellyfish because I think he looks really cute. And it's also really simple too. I mean, the jellyfish it's a round head and then some tentacles. And whether you're following along or not, I thought that it'd be easy for me to do for a first video. And if you're following along, it'd be easy for somebody else too. There's definitely some. I've been thinking about the silences in this, and I kind of like them. I think it's nice to have some relaxation and quiet. I think especially if I am going to do an episode, or at least work on an episode every day. I don't know if I can publish an episode every day, but if I'm going to work, like just do, like start on or work on the amigurumi. I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, I remember now. I was saying, if I'm going to work on the amigurumi every day, I'm not going to have fresh topics. Especially if I do it more than once in a day, like 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night. I wonder if the microphone's picking that up. There's a plane flying overhead. Sounds like a prop plane. Maybe I'll do... Well, I can't base it off of rounds. I was like, oh, maybe I'll base some of the episodes on rounds. But it doesn't really make sense because, for example, the final rounds are going to be really short. I mean, we're working with 50 stitches now, but I'll take a look real fast. Actually, we stop. It looks like at the bottom of the jellyfish is 40 stitches around. So we're actually gonna... This is a big boy. It's funny compared to I've made an otter and a bumblebee and even a really small dog, and the stitches only go up to be like I mean, sometimes they're really small. When you, like the limbs of the dog were like 6 around. Maybe that was the tail. The tail was like 5 around. And now we're working with 50. It's quite the project. Which is exactly what I was looking for. Alright. That's round 9. I'm going to mark that off. Now we're on round 10. And looks like we have enough time to do... So when I say enough time, I've discovered that my phone, which is what I'm recording on, only does hour chunks. So I'm going to break the videos, maybe not visible to you listeners, but I am going to break the files, that is, up into 30-minute chunks, roughly, maybe 45. Alright, we're starting round 10, 50 stitches around. And I think that the end goal for me, because this is like a nice project for me, is just to work on this a little bit every day. Kind of like working on ourselves. It's like if we work on ourselves a little bit every day. It's pretty amazing. I was recommended, and I've started reading a book called Atomic Habits. It's really nice. It's about, the gist of it is how to start good habits and quit bad ones. And It's really good. I highly recommend it. I'm not a big reader, but I've thoroughly enjoyed reading this book. And it talks about the idea of improving yourself by 1% every day. And eventually that, it's what's the word I'm looking for? Cumulative? It's like interest, basically. And it starts adding up real quick. And if you do that every day for like a year, you become just so much, or maybe it was even like a month, you just become so much better numbers, like number wise. You just become X amount of times better than you were before. And I think it's really helpful to think about that. Like, if you, compound, that's the word I'm looking for. It's compounded. And it's really nice to think about, because if you have, if you say, I want to get X amount of times better, trying to do it all at once is a little overwhelming. But saying, I could get 1% better every day, that sounds much more doable. Need to pull out more yarn. So, much like the getting 1% better every day, I want to do amigurumi every day. At least a little bit. Another idea in the book that I really like is, it's called the 2-minute rule. And the idea is that when you're trying to build a good habit, it can be hard to say, like, let's say we're trying to go for walks or do amigurumi. It can be hard to sit down and say, I'm going to do an hour of this, an hour walk, or an hour of amigurumi. And the 2-minute rule basically says, just start it for 2 minutes and give it a try. And when you do that, you'll find that you often end up spending quite a bit of time. More time than 2 minutes. Because you usually have fun doing what you're doing. And if you don't, you still spent 2 minutes and you got started. Which is better than not having done anything at all. That's actually how I got started on today's episode. I was like, I'll just do maybe 10 minutes of amigurumi. And here we are, approaching our half-hour mark. And I'm having a wonderful time. And I hope you are too. So more questions to debate are, when I do the final video of Junior the Jellyfish, am I going to combine all of it into one really long video? Am I going to speed it up at all? The world is my oyster, and I have pretty powerful video editing software. And I have quite a bit of practice editing videos. Believe it or not, I tried doing I think everybody, well, lots of people, not everybody, have tried making like a gaming YouTube before. And I definitely tried that when I was younger. And then I tried streaming. That was fun. But all I streamed was the same game. So that gets a little tiresome after a while. But the game was Dota 2, Defense of the Ancients. And I still play, but when I was streaming, I was playing just a huge amount of time. Like, I mean, even though I was just starting streaming, I was playing like 30, 40 hours a week. And it was like, oh my gosh, I just got burned out real quick. Basically made up my nights was playing Dota. And I'll still play from time to time. The thing about Dota, though, is it can be kind of toxic. If you don't know anything about Dota, it's a 5v5 game. So you're on a team with 4 other players against a team of 5 players, and there's a bunch of heroes that you can play as. If you know what League of Legends is, it's very similar to that. And people can say things, and it's anonymous on the internet, so, people can say mean things. And sometimes I'll leave Dota just feeling sour. Like, sour is the right word. Or down. Like, I did really well, and we still lost, or somebody said something that wasn't very nice. And I do have fun with Dota, but, when you spend so much time with it, I think that it can wear on you. It's kind of like that news thing I was talking about earlier. If you surround yourself with the news all the time, it's a little depressing. And if you surround yourself with a toxic environment, then that can also be a little depressing. Okay. Coming to the end of round 10 here. This is looking very nice. Let's see, make sure the light picks it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up inverting this, like this. Like that. And we'll start crocheting like this, because as you can see, it's already starting to make the bowl that we want. I'm shaping it a little bit with my fingers. And then we'll crochet like this. And it's a little bit different because when it's the other way, it's like crocheting in one direction, and this sort of feels like we're crocheting in another direction. But it makes it easier to get underneath the stitches here. So you see, like here, I can just literally just stick my hook into where I need. Okay. I'm going to stop this recording and move on to the next one.